Ever get that feeling, that gut feeling about someone where you're just like, something's not right here?
Yeah.
Well, today, we're diving deep into the life of a man whose charisma and controversy continue to fascinate and perplex.
Yeah.
Charles Ponzi, the OG pyramid schemer.
Wow, the OG pyramid schemer. What's really remarkable is that, even though his scheme collapsed nearly a century ago, Ponzi's name is still synonymous with financial fraud.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, what was it about this man that allowed him to pull off such a massive con?
It really is remarkable.
Yeah.
You sent over a treasure trove of articles and biographical info on Ponzi, and let me tell you, it's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
We're talking rags to riches, international intrigue, and a whole lot of shattered dreams.
Or mission.
To sift through the hype and the heartbreak, to figure out if Ponzi was a true visionary,
Right.
or it's just a master manipulator who got lucky.
So to unravel the enigma that is Charles Ponzi, we need to rewind the clock and delve into his early life. Born in Italy in 1882, Ponzi wasn't exactly born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Right.
He did manage to attend university for a little bit, but
Okay.
seemed more interested in enjoying the good life, think cafes, charming company,
Yeah.
than hitting the books.
So a taste of the finer things even at a young age?
Right.
But this leisurely lifestyle couldn't last forever, could it?
Not quite.
Okay.
Ponzi's early years are peppered with instances of petty crime, check forgery,
Wow.
and even smuggling Italian immigrants into the U.S.
Wow.
This raises a really intriguing question, right? Do these early transgressions foreshadow the financial fraudster he would become, or were they simply the acts of a young man desperate to survive?
It's kind of like a chicken and the egg conundrum, isn't it? Did those experiences shape his path?
Yeah.
Or was there something inherently opportunistic about Ponzi's character from the start?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
It's impossible to say for certain. But what we do see is a consistent pattern of risk-taking behavior, a willingness to push the boundaries. And there's one detail that really stands out.
Okay.
Ponzi had a serious gambling problem.
Oh.
He even lost his life savings playing cards on the ship to America.
Oh, wow.
So this wasn't just about needing money. This speaks to, a thrill-seeking personality, a need to beat the odds.
Yeah. So picture this. Ponzi arrives in America, practically penniless, but brimming with ambition.
Right.
Like countless immigrants at the time, he was drawn by the allure of the American dream, that, tantalizing promise of wealth and success.
Yeah.
He took on a string of odd jobs, dishwasher, insurance salesman, but nothing seemed to stick.
Right.
Was this a period of genuine hard work? Or was Ponzi simply biding his time, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike?
From everything I've gathered, Ponzi was undeniably charismatic. Quick-witted, charming, able to talk his way into almost any situation.
Yeah.
But he was also restless, constantly seeking that shortcut to the top. It's quite possible that he viewed these jobs as mere stepping stones, a means to an end.
Okay.
In a way, he was absorbing knowledge about different industries, understanding how they functioned, which might inadvertently provided him with valuable insights for his future scheme.
It's almost as if he was unconsciously gathering intel, studying the very systems he would eventually exploit.
Absolutely.
And then in 1919, he stumbles upon what he believes is a stroke of genius, those international postal reply coupons.
Ah, yes. These coupons, known as IRCs,
Right.
these presented a unique opportunity for what's called arbitrage. So, due to fluctuating exchange rates, you could buy them cheaply in one country and redeem them for a profit in another.
Okay.
So imagine receiving a letter from, say, Spain with an IRC tucked inside.
Yeah.
Ponzi realized he could turn that little coupon into a tidy profit.
Okay, so a completely legitimate way to make money,
Yeah.
but not exactly a path to a fortune.
Precisely. The profit margins on individual IRCs were slim.
Yeah.
But Ponzi, with his knack for spotting opportunities, he saw the potential for massive returns if he could scale the operation. And this is where his genius, or perhaps his cunning, truly comes into play.
And this is where things take a truly fascinating turn. Ponzi starts making a bold claim. He can offer investors a 50% return on their investment in a mere 45 days. Those are astronomical figures.
Oh, they were astonishing, and people bought it.
Yeah.
He establishes the Securities Exchange Company, and suddenly money is pouring in from every direction. In no time at all, he's handling millions of dollars.
From cafes to a financial empire. Was this genuine business acumen or was it pure charisma that fueled his meteoric rise?
I think it was a potent cocktail of both.
Okay.
Ponzi was a master salesman, a charismatic conductor of dreams.
Yeah?
He spun this captivating narrative of a complex international investment strategy that very few people truly understood.
Right.
This aura of sophistication and mystery, combined with his undeniable charm and that irresistible lure of quick riches, proved to be an intoxicating mix for many.
Yeah.
And it perfectly illustrates how charisma can mask a lack of substance, even in the world of finance.
And let's not forget the historical context, right?
Yeah,
People were desperate for hope and opportunity in the aftermath of World War I.
absolutely.
The idea of doubling their money in less than 2 months was simply too tempting to resist.
Ponzi skillfully tapped into the anxieties and aspirations of the time.
Yeah.
He was a master manipulator who understood the intricacies of human psychology.
And of course, he needed to project an image of success, right? He was living the high life. A sprawling 12-room mansion, a chauffeur-driven limousine, custom-tailored suits, even a gold-handled cane.
Of course.
He even bought the bank that had previously rejected his loan application. Talk about a power move.
Classic Ponzi. He wasn't just content with being successful. He needed to flaunt it. It was all part of the illusion. A carefully constructed facade designed to build trust and reinforce the belief that his scheme was a guaranteed path to wealth. The more successful he appeared, the more people flocked to invest, feeding the frenzy.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way.
Right.
The more money flowed in, the more believable the scheme became, at least on the surface.
Precisely. But beneath the glittering veneer of success, cracks were beginning to appear.
And this is where the house of cards starts to wobble, right?
Yeah.
Enter Clarence Barron, a financial journalist who wasn't buying into the Ponzi hype.
Yeah, Barron was a shrewd investigator known for his, meticulous approach to financial analysis. He took a closer look at Ponzi's operation, and he sensed that something was amiss.
What exactly tipped Barron off? It couldn't have been easy to untangle such a, complex web of transactions.
Well, Barron, he focused on the sheer volume of those international postal reply coupons, those IRCs.
Right.
That would be required to actually generate the astronomical returns that Ponzi was promising. And his calculations revealed that millions of these coupons,
Millions
would have to be circulating to support those profits.
Wow. That seems like an absurdly large number for what was essentially a niche financial instrument.
It was. And Barron began to suspect that Ponzi wasn't actually investing in IRCs at all.
Wow.
Instead, he was using the money from new investors to pay off the earlier ones, the classic hallmark of a pyramid scheme.
The age-old recipe for financial disaster. These schemes are inherently unsustainable, right?
Right.
They inevitably crumble when the flow of new investors dries up.
Precisely. It's like building a tower on a foundation of sand. It's only a matter of time before it all comes crashing down.
Right.
And Barron wasn't the only one raising red flags.
Right.
The Boston Post, they hit Ponzi with a libel lawsuit.
Okay.
But ironically, this legal maneuver only intensified the scrutiny surrounding his operation.
So the walls are closing in, the media is on his trail, and investors are starting to sweat. What does Ponzi do?
He doubles down. In a display of audacity, he vehemently denies any wrongdoing and even brings in a publicist, William McMasters, to manage his increasingly tarnished image.
Hiring a publicist seems like a rather curious move for someone claiming to be running a legitimate business.
Yeah, it speaks volumes about Ponzi's unwavering belief in his ability to control the narrative, to manipulate the situation to his advantage.
Okay.
He was convinced that he could spin his way out of trouble.
But McMasters, in a surprising twist, he ends up uncovering the truth, right?
Yeah, it's a fantastic turn of events. McMasters, while poring over Ponzi's financial records, realizes that the emperor has no clothes. There's no sophisticated investment strategy, just a mountain of IOUs and empty promises. He confronts Ponzi, but true to form, Ponzi vehemently denies any wrongdoing.
So what does McMasters do at this point? Does he simply walk away, or does he feel a responsibility to expose the truth?
McMasters, to his credit, takes the ethical high road. He approaches the Boston Post and reveals the extent of Ponzi's fraudulent scheme.
Talk about a betrayal. That must have been a devastating blow to Ponzi.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the end. The expose published by the Post triggered a full-blown panic. Investors, gripped by fear, they rushed to withdraw their money, leading to the inevitable collapse of the entire scheme.
Like a dam bursting, the carefully constructed facade of wealth and success crumbles in an instant.
Yeah.
So what happens to Ponzi? Does he manage to escape with his ill-gotten gains?
Not quite. He attempts a daring escape, disguised as a crewman,
Wow.
but his luck runs out and he is apprehended and sentenced to prison.
It's a tale worthy of a Hollywood thriller. The mastermind is behind bars, leaving thousands of investors to grapple with the devastating consequences of his actions.
Yeah, it was a financial catastrophe of epic proportions. People lost their life savings, their homes, their dreams. The ripple effects of Ponzi's scheme were felt far and wide.
And yet, Ponzi never seemed to fully grasp the gravity of his actions, did he?
No, in a bizarre twist, he viewed himself as a victim of circumstance, even going so far as to suggest that the investors deserved their fate for being blinded by greed.
A classic case of lack of self-awareness and accountability.
Yeah.
So Ponzi serves his time, gets out of prison, and that's the end of the story.
Not even close. Ponzi's story's far from over.
Okay.
After his release, he dabbles in yet another scheme. This time, he gets involved in smuggling Italian immigrants across the U.S. border.
Oh, wow.
But just like before, he gets caught and finds himself back behind bars.
It seems that the allure of the conning was simply too powerful for him to resist.
It's a fascinating psychological puzzle. Even after facing the consequences of his actions, he couldn't break free from this compulsion to try and beat the system.
So after his second stint in prison, was he finally a changed man?
Not exactly. In 1934, he is deported back to Italy, leaving behind a trail of financial ruin and shattered dreams.
Back to where it all began.
Right.
What does Ponzi do with his time in Italy? Does he attempt to, revive his fraudulent schemes on his native soil?
Well, there's no evidence to suggest that he returned to his old tricks. Instead, he kind of takes on a more, mundane role working as a translator. He even pens his autobiography, attempting to justify his actions and recast himself in a more favorable light.
A final attempt to control the narrative, perhaps.
Yeah.
It seems Ponzi was always a master storyteller, even when the story he was telling was at odds with reality.
Oh, he undeniably possessed a remarkable gift for persuasion, a knack for weaving tales that resonated with people's deepest desires and aspirations. But beneath that charm lay a ruthless manipulator, a man willing to exploit others for his personal gain.
So Charles Ponzi dies in 1949, penniless and largely forgotten, right?
Well, not entirely forgotten. His name lives on not as a financial genius, but as a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
The term Ponzi scheme has become ingrained in our collective consciousness.
Right.
A stark reminder of the perils of financial deception.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that some things are just too good to be true. But despite countless warnings and cautionary tales, Ponzi schemes continue to surface, often disguised in increasingly complex and sophisticated ways.
Oh, absolutely. The digital age with the rise of online investing and the emergence of cryptocurrencies, it's created like a fertile breeding ground for these scams to thrive.
Right.
It's easier than ever for scammers to reach, a global audience. They can weave these intricate webs of deception that can be difficult to untangle.
So how can we, in this era of ever-evolving financial products and online opportunities, protect ourselves from becoming the next victims of a Ponzi scheme?
Yeah.
It's a question that feels particularly relevant today.
It does. It really does. I think the first line of defense is always a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay.
If an investment opportunity promises outlandish returns with minimal risk, that's a red flag. That should immediately set off alarm bells. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Don't let greed cloud your judgment.
It's easy to get swept up in the excitement, especially when you see others seemingly reaping enormous rewards. FOMO, the fear of missing out, can be a powerful motivator.
Absolutely. That's why it's so crucial to resist that urge to jump on the bandwagon without doing your due diligence.
Right.
Don't just rely on the information provided by the person promoting the investment. Dig deeper,
Right.
research the company or individuals involved, and really try to understand that underlying investment strategy. And if something seems unclear, overly complicated, or shrouded in secrecy, that's a major warning sign.
That's like that old saying, if you don't understand it, don't invest in it.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask tough questions.
Yeah.
If the person pitching the investment can't or won't provide clear, concise answers, that's a huge red flag.
Right.
Legitimate investments should be able to withstand scrutiny.
So it's all about information, transparency, and a healthy dose of critical thinking.
Absolutely. And remember, diversification is key to managing risk. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, no matter how enticing the opportunity may seem. A well-diversified portfolio can help mitigate the potential damage if one investment goes sour.
It's about Spreading the risk, not putting all your faith in a single, potentially unstable venture.
Okay.
So circling back to our original question, was Charles Ponzi a visionary entrepreneur who simply made some bad decisions, or was he at his core a con artist?
While there's no denying Ponzi's charisma and his ability to captivate an audience, his scheme, when stripped down to its essence, was built on deception. He
Right.
was a master manipulator, skilled at exploiting people's dreams of achieving financial freedom. But he wasn't creating wealth, he was simply transferring it from the pockets of the many to his own, leaving a trail of financial ruin in his wake.
A classic tale of greed, deception, and the enduring human susceptibility to the allure of easy money. It seems the lessons of Charles Ponzi are as relevant today as they were a century ago.
I think so. In a world where financial scams are becoming increasingly sophisticated and readily accessible, it's more crucial than ever to remember those warning signs, to be vigilant in protecting our financial well-being.
Wise words to live by. That wraps up our deep dive into the life and legacy of Charles Ponzi. Hopefully, this exploration has shed some light on the dark side of financial charisma and provided you with some valuable insights into how to navigate the complex world of investing. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay vigilant.